Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're going to do a mindset training. And mindset is really important when it comes to success because it's going to be the difference between you being a Hollywood A-list actor versus an extra who's hustling for auditions and having to work restaurant jobs in order to make ends meet, right? And I know it's kind of sad to say that because that took me a long time to understand and internalize. But really, your mindset and how you deal with the world really determines what's in for your future. So I'm just going to tell you some stories from back in the day, which I think are still applicable now. But when I was in high school, I knew a lot of people. A lot of people. Well, I don't say a lot. Maybe like 3 to 5 people or 10 people. I don't know. I knew a good number of people who were obsessed with going to Stanford. It was almost like that episode of Saved by the Bell, the 80s TV show. I know it's kind of 80s, 90s TV show. I know it's almost outdated now. But in that TV show, there was an episode where one of the main characters, Jesse, is freaking out and taking pills because she wants to study so that she can get into Stansbury, quote, Stansbury, which is like that TV version of Stanford, right? And I knew a lot of people who were obsessed with the getting to Stanford. And it's something that I never really understood. But not only were they obsessed, I think their parents were obsessed for some reason. Um, and I just couldn't get it, right? Like, what's so good about Stanford, right? Like, to be honest, I didn't even want to go to college. I want to just stay home and play Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. That's really what I wanted to do. But back then, pro gaming was a thing, and I don't know if I really would have pursued it. But really, that at that time, who cares about college? I just want to play video games. Now, the thing that really bothered me and disturbed me is seeing their attitudes when they did get rejected from college, the college they wanted to go to. So Stanford, only one person got in, and every other person acted like it was the end of the world that they didn't get into Stanford, right? Like, you ever deal with that? Like, people act like it's the end of the world because they didn't get what they want for something that has a very low percentage rate of success. It makes me sick, right? But that's essentially what happened. I knew people who were angry that they couldn't get into UCLA or even UCSD, blah 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 blah, and to be honest, I kind of went with it because I was curious, like, why is everybody so obsessed with this? And to be honest, I think this mindset that people have that they don't value themselves and they value what the institution, the quote prestigious institution, the institution's acceptance is more valuable than what they have to offer, is the reason why a lot of us are not where we want to be. Not gonna lie, I truly think so. So if you're not where you want to be in your career or in even or financially, right? And I don't think financial success is like the ultimate marker of success, but we'll just use that as an example. You have to learn the mindset from the A-list actors. So as you can see here, I've done a quick Google search of getting rejected from Harvard. This one's from 2020, but there's a lot of questions asked in Quora about, why do people with perfect scores still get rejected by Harvard? Or I got rejected from Harvard. What did I do wrong? Look at this mentality. This is not an A-list Hollywood celebrity activity or attitude. I'm sorry, not activity, attitude, right? See, what you have to do, the mindset that you have to have when you go into the world is that if somebody rejects you, it's essentially their loss, right? It's their loss. So if I apply to Harvard as a teenager, if I apply to Harvard, right, and Harvard rejects me, then it's their loss. It's not my loss because who's bringing what to the table, right? What is Harvard offering me? I'm bringing the talent, the energy, my youth, right, my ideas to Harvard. But what is Harvard offering me? Acceptance, a bad, small dorm. I don't know if it's really that small. An internet connection. I got that all at home. So what is Harvard offering me? And too many people, because they do not value themselves, are just willing to take anything. right? And unfortunately, there are too many snakes, in our society that are willing to take advantage of people. That's how lots of schools work. That's how a lot of companies work. This is why, people are pissing in bottles when they're doing Amazon deliveries, right? Because they're not valuing what they have to bring to the table until they're at the very point where they're going to break, right? This is why strikes and labor unions and all that stuff is happening, because people are always trying to take advantage of each other. Now, I want you to have the mindset of the A-list Hollywood actor, and I know I've said that like 20 times in this video already, but I got to emphasize that because, again, most people don't have that. They're like that struggling actor who's excited to appear like 5 seconds as an extra and is working uh, restaurant jobs just to survive. And your mindset is the difference between whether Marvel is going to pay you tens of millions of dollars to appear in your movie and beg you to appear in them, and they know that if you don't appear, it's going to collapse, versus you begging to have to be an extra in a Marvel movie, right? And if we just kind of take a look here, I did some Google searches. So Robert Downey Jr., whenever you're starting out in life, it's okay to kind of work with a lower salary because you don't know what you bring to the table. But if you know that you're bringing something special to the table, that's when you got to demand more, right? So Iron Man 1, I think this was when he was like getting out of like rehab, right, and restarting his life. 500,000. Okay, that becomes a hit. 10 million, 39 million, right? So all these movies where he's making tens of millions of dollars. Now, if you were in his shoes, right? If you were Robert Downey Jr. in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, would you think, "Oh, Marvel, I'm so appreciative to be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because now I have the opportunity to be a movie star"? Or are you thinking, I am doing the MCU a favor by appearing in this cinematic universe, because if I'm not in it, then this whole thing's going to collapse, right? Am I doing Marvel a favor by appearing in their movies, or is Marvel doing me a favor by giving me $75 million to appear in, their biggest movie of all time, right? And you have to think the second way, where I'm doing them a favor. Because think about it, right? After Endgame, which is like the biggest movie of all time, I think I don't know, I don't remember if it was Avatar that retook the spot, but let's just say it's the biggest movie of all time in 2019. Marvel decided that, hey, we don't need our original characters anymore. We don't need Captain America. We don't need Iron Man. We don't need who else? Well, they still kept Thor, but they made him into a joke. But we don't need our original characters anymore. We're just going to keep continuing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And now, what's happened? The MCU is collapsing, right? So, who did who a favor? Was it, you know, Iron Man? Was it Robert Downey Jr. doing them a favor by acting in the movie? Or was it the Marvel Cinematic Universe doing Iron Man or our Robert Downey Jr. a favor, right? So, again, now we're at a point where the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which was like the biggest thing in just a couple of years ago, is now failing, right? And that's because the prestigious institution, it's like the emperor's new clothes, doesn't really have anything to offer, right? So you always have to understand what you offer to the table. And let's say they try to lowball them or say, hey, we don't need to give you a $75 million salary anymore because we're so big we don't need you. You just walk away and say, okay, your loss, right? You just say that, or you think it. Even at this point, even if you have no talent and are delusional about your talents, you have that mindset is much more important than you being realistic and groveling to other prestigious parties that you need to be accepted by them, right? And one last thing before I end this video. It's interesting. I've come to familiar with the term. I've become familiar with the term called kingmaker. I heard it a long time ago, but this really made me think that yes, you should be a kingmaker. So if you have never heard of the term, it's a person or group that has great influence on a royal or political succession without themselves being a viable candidate, right? And whatever it is that you're doing, I want you to think that you are a kingmaker, right? You're the difference between whether something succeeds or collapses. And most people, because they like to play these games because of their ego, right? Because they're playing these games, they don't want you to recognize how great you are, right? They don't want to say, hey, you're the difference between whether person A or person B becomes a king or not. But you have to believe that you are a kingmaker, right? Without you, the whole thing collapses. Okay, and that's like the mindset you need for success. And again, success isn't always financial, but a lot of success doesn't have something to do with money. So it's the difference between, like I said, you being an A-list actor versus the extra who's begging to appear 5 seconds in a movie. All right, so this is a Korean Atlanta mentorship. If you're interested in joining our group, go ahead and click the Google form link below. Other than that, we're almost at 2024. I think just 2 days or 3 days away. Yeah, 3 days away. So just going to keep cranking out videos until the new year. Have a great day, and we will speak soon.